Sheriff Todd Baxter, employees of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. District Attorney Sandra Doorley, employees of the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court. Policy Matcher James McMillan Union, Town Court. My name is Chris Chichester. I have been in jail 6 times. 6 times the prosecutor's not talked in court. There is not one sentence. There is not one syllable. There is not one sound from a prosecutor, the District Attorney's Office in Monroe County, to make an argument that I committed a crime. There's a reason for that fact. It's impossible to make an argument that I've committed a crime, because I've been an innocent man my whole life. There's guilty and not guilty. I'm neither. I'm innocent. This is the Freedom of Information Law, dated this August 6, 2023, as I communicate with you with the official finger of Brooklyn, New York. So this has answers that you Perry Duckles and you Mark Monahan at the District Attorney's Office can email to me at cchichester.ju04@gmail.com. How simple is that? Mail me the names of my prosecutors. It's not simple for you, because corruption is not simple, and you're corrupt at the District Attorney's Office. I've sent this directly to you, Perry Duckles. I don't know if you opened your mail, but if you opened your mail and looked at this, the form I'm about to read, and ignored it, that's corruption. A courtroom is a taxpayer-financed public proceeding that I've been forced into by psychopath cops. Then $67,000 Shannon Meyer. Then $79,000 Andrew Reale. $73,000 perjurer Michael Houlihan. And $85,000 psychopath Don Benedetto. $85,000 psychopath and $73,000 Don Benedetto hid on the private property of my neighbor, waiting for me to come outside. And I've also been violently attacked by $75,000 Richard J. Seaman, the Penn Public Library, and you have that criminal complaint in your office. Richard J. Seaman should be in state prison. So, on this August 6, 2023, you have this information, and so do you, Public Defender Judy Sianka, and so do you, $87,000 Assistant Public Defender Mark Phillips. Soon for all you, right, Mark? Where's your decency, your character, and your integrity, Mark? Because I once thought you had decency, integrity, and character, and it vanished because of your refusal to tell me the names of my prosecutors. Information you have. Freedom of Information Law dated this August 6, 2023. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester and Town Court for John P. Lomenzo Jr. was named the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley. This is the payroll for the District Attorney's Office. The freak is right here. What's the name of the freak? Send it to my email on foil. Send it to my address on the foil. Freedom of Information Law. The documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester and Town Court for Paul C. Metzel. What's the name? The prosecutor, Sandra Doorley. This is the payroll for the District Attorney's Office. The freak is on here. What's the name of the freak? Send it to my email. Send it to the address on the foil. Third and final Freedom of Information Law on this August 6th. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester in New York State Supreme Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Doorley. That's before Alex Renzi. The freak is right here. What's the name of the freak? Send it to my email address. Send it to the address on here. I'll repeat things because corruption requires repetition. See Chichester JUL4@gmail.com. Public Defender Julie Sianka, send it to me. Assistant Public Defender Mark Phillips, send it to me. Because you have those names as the public defender. 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York 14604. Paul C. Metzel sent me to jail without a prosecutor talking court. John P. Lomenzo Jr. sent me to jail without a prosecutor talking court. Alex Renzi sent me to jail without a prosecutor talking court. That's insane. Is Julie Hahn, who's now in Monroe County Court, my prosecutor before John P. Lomenzo Jr., because I saw a profile of her, I think it's called Rochester Woman Online. I looked at Julie Hahn's picture. I think it was taken in front of the Times Square building. And I remember clearly what this assistant district attorney looked like before John P. Lomenzo Jr. When I'm in front of John P. Lomenzo Jr. to answer these two absurd, ridiculous concoctions, I'll explain: harassment second and criminal attempt second. I'm forced in there. I don't have a public defender, and I've called the previous YouTube unconstitutional. This is why I think it's constitutional. I think it's unconstitutional for John P. Lomenzo Jr., the 7-year-old fossil, to convene Pennsylvania court when I don't have my constitutional right to counsel. And I think I'm going home that day. That's why. And I didn't even pick up the phone or get online to look for an attorney because I thought it was a joke. So I'll explain harassment second, criminal attempt second at a certain point. So I look over at her. Total silence from Julian, who I think is Julian, I should say. I don't know who it is. Julian is presiding over murder trials. And I have sent documentation to her. The arrogance of these judges, when I send documentation to her again, this YouTube, I'm going to send her this link. I'm going to write to her and I'm going to explain what happened to me. I'm then going to ask Julian, former employee of the district attorney's office, who's a prosecutor's judge, is she my prosecutor? Guess what, Perry Douglas and Mark Monahan and the district attorney of Monroe County, Sandra Doorley? You know the answer to that question. What is wrong with you? And why do you hate human beings? And when I say that, all these charges should have been dismissed by the prosecutor assigned to my cases. Because they're lies. Lies. I walk outside here. I stand right here. I tell a man named Steve Desmond, Broccolo, Tree Long, here, nobody owns the land, and walk back on my rents. That's criminal comes second. That's not a crime. I go to this gym called PW Fitness that's now defunct. I'm on the bench press. Up walks to me Jermaine L. Bettman. He stands over me, punches down. As I'm on the bench press, he straddles me. My head snaps back violently. At that moment, who did I just harass? Todd Baxter for $132,000, the sheriff of Monroe County. Contact me, you being Muslim skinhead, and tell me who I just harassed. Sheriff Todd Baxter. I didn't harass anybody. It's impossible. So when Andrew Reale arrives, he knows me because of criminal attempt second in this parking lot. And this is why Andrew Reale is a psychopath. He thinks, I want to put the screws to this Chris. And he's going to do this. We go out to the car, and Reale is talking to Jermaine Bettman, who just snapped my head back. And I have to replay this in my mind over and over, thinking about, why don't you just fight back? Because if it's a fight, then it's a fight. And then I'm not going to be in the backseat of the vehicle. So Andrew Reale tells me to wait in the backseat of the vehicle, and he's coaching and telling Jermaine Bettman what to say to me. And this is why people hate the police. If I hypothetically harass someone, there's a victim. District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Mark Monahan, and Perry Douglas, and Michelle Crowley, director of the grand jury. Hypothetically, I harass someone. There can only be 2 victims this day that are in my presence. Then $79,000 Andrew Reale and Jermaine Bettman. So I'm sitting in the backseat of the vehicle. Reale's telling Bettman what to say, and then he marches Bettman around to the side of the vehicle as I look to my left like this, and Jermaine L. Bettman says to me, I want to press charges against you. And with those 7 words, as I sat in the back seat of Andrew Reale's Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle, I'm charged with harassment second because Andrew Reale knows me because of his parking lot. This is why people hate the police. So I'm walking down Penfield Road, and I'm looking at this ticket that I no longer have. Just everything is gone because my landlord, Anthony Spano, locked the doors and locked me out of a court order. And I do not yet know that John P. Lomenzo Jr. is in Penfield Court. And the reason why I moved to Penfield from Webster, my then girlfriend Laura Riley, is she's hired at the Penfield Public Library. I don't know Penfield Court's down the hall from the entrance. And when I would go see Laura, I'm totally oblivious to the fact that this star chamber, this room of hate, is with John P. Lomenzo Jr. and James Finley Jr. I appear before Lomenzo, and he declares me guilty, and I'm driven to Monroe County Jail. Then Jermaine L. Bettman has to appear before you, James Finley Jr. So I'm going to tell the Office of Court Administration about you, and also regulatory bodies that have control over judges in New York. I believe there is a Commission on Judicial Conduct. It may have expired. I have to check. So I get the subpoena for Jermaine L. Bettman's appearance before You, James Young Jr., do you know what I'm going to talk about, you 70-year-old fossil? I believe you're in the vicinity of 70. I sit down with the subpoena. Immediately, a Penfield Town Court employee, a female, comes and asks my name. I confirm my name is Chris Chichester. She says, you can't be here. So I leave Penfield Town Court with my subpoena in my hand, and I wait out in the hallway. And here comes this violent Doug Jermaine Bettman in with his attorney walking right in front of me, goes into Penfield Town Court. He leaves in about 5 minutes as he appears before you, James Smalley Jr. I believe you don't even know the facts and circumstances of him violently attacking me. It's totally irrelevant to you because you're corrupt. So I'm standing there, and Bettman leaves with his attorney. And then I go to the little window with this old lady. And I said, what happened with Jermaine L. Bettman's appearance? And she says to me, and I do not know if this is correct, the German dismissal. Perry Douglas and Mark Monahan, Michelle Crowley, district attorney's office. What the hell is a German dismissal? I mean, she may have it wrong, because those were her exact words to me. I'll never forget standing there and listening to this 1984, a German dismissal. So, it's not a crime to alter that park lot, ever. If it is, if I'm incorrect, tell your cop freak Todd Baxter, that is Shannon Meyer, to stand right here, and every time somebody goes through this park lot, there should be an arrest. Because I have the same 14th Amendment right as every citizen of Monroe County Stadium to walk through this park lot. This Shannon Meyer is targeting me. She is vile, sick, and evil. I have handcuffs on my wrist for the first time in my life because of her. Well, I'm not committing a crime by telling a man on his tractor, nobody owns the land next to my residence. This is Broccolo Tree and Lawn Care. Albert and Lori Broccolo own it. And I've contacted Albert and Lori Broccolo and their employee, her name is Deb Bridges, telling them over and over and over their employee civilian is used in the concoction of a crime for me, which is criminal attempt second. I don't hear anything from them. And this Desmond, he came by about 3 months later after I got out of Monroe County Jail the first time. I left my residence and I was screaming at him outside. I was using profanity, telling him he's a piece of shit. And the language I was using the most profane word in the English language. That's 4 letters and begins with a C. When Steve Desmond is right next to my residence with one of these weed whackers. You know how loud these things are? Now it's the summertime. And when I walk down Oxford Street in Rochester, we get to Monroe Avenue, I really am, even though I knew this already, astonished at how loud this ridiculous landscaping equipment is. And they would get to my residence at 7 o'clock in the morning sometimes. I would talk to my neighbors about this. And so this is a quality of life issue that your cop freak, then $67,000 Shannon Meyer, decided to criminalize. And when I say that there's no ownership of that land next to my residence, do you know what I'm talking about, Todd Baxter? Do you know, Todd Baxter, that land ownership is proven by documentation? Because I've said this to you repeatedly, and I've said this to your office. You know why I know nobody owns that land next to my residence? Todd Baxter, Sheriff of Monroe County. I'll show it to you again. Now, you can look at it and reach the easy intellectual conclusion. How does anybody own this land? But land is cut, if that's the right word, drawn, if that's the right word, in different ways. It's not good enough just to look at it. I'll show you what's good enough. How I know nobody owns the land. This is what Layla Kumar Shah, near Rochelle, where I wrote criminal complaints about falsely reporting an incident, sent me. When I called Timothy Murphy of the Monroe County Office of Real Property Tax Service, I sent him this. I sent this to him in PDF. In fact, I sent this whole thing. I'm going to show you again. I'm telling him, Timothy Murphy, the Monroe County Office of Real Property Tax Service, that there's no way that this proves land ownership next to my residence right here. Over and over and over. I'm saying to this Timothy Murphy, just tell me if Layla Kumar Shah and Neeraj Shah own this land next to where I live at 26 Heinous from Drive. And he hung up on me. There's no ownership. Now pay attention, being Muslim skinhead Todd Baxter and revolting freaks at the district attorney's office, to include Perry Douglas and Mark Monahan and Michelle Crowley. Even if there is documentation that proves ownership, it's not a crime to tell a man his tractor nobody owns the land next to mine residence. And that doesn't matter to you at all, because you get a thrill out of destroying human beings. And you don't know you get a thrill out of destroying human beings. This is undated, but This is in your office over and over and over. When I say it's in your office, this packet here, that's also undated. I took this warrant for my arrest written by this Shannon Meyer. I hope she burns in hell that you gave a $16,000 raise to. When she wrote this lie, I say wrote in a childlike way, she was paid $67,000. Now she's paid $83,000. Your cops smash the constitutional and civil rights of innocent citizens in million little pieces, obliterate a life, and then you give raises to your cop freaks. So this is in your office, it's undated. I'm going to update this too. So I sent this to you within 10 to 14 days of this happening. And Andrew Reale was not fired. He should have been fired immediately. And somebody should call me from the sheriff's office. You got this in your office. Register my return receipt within 10 to 14 days. I'm just trying to do this from memory. It's easily inside 2 weeks when Jermaine Bettman attacked me because I get to go to Penfield Court. So this is why people hate the police. And it does not matter to you that Andrew Reale concocted this out of thin air for me. Sheriff Todd Baxter. Todd Baxter, Sheriff Monroe County. On June 7th, I'm at PW Fitness. I'm at the back of the gym performing 3 sets of 10 repetitions on the bench press. I paused for 30 seconds between each repetition. I completed the second repetition. Jermaine Bettman walked up to me. I'm sitting up. He stared at me for approximately 10 seconds. He said nothing. He motioned with his right hand from right to left. I understood this served lack of communication from his character as get off the machine or else. I told Bettman, I'll be 30 seconds. Bettman approached and placed his finger on my face below my eye. He pressed his fingernail into my skin. I slapped his hand away with my right hand. My actions justifies action a citizen takes when a thug attempts intimidation, when a thug invades your personal space. Bettman raised his right hand above his head, clenched his fist, and slammed his hand into the side of my face. My head snapped back, my glasses flew off, my right hand prevented me from landing on the floor. Bettman walked away. This final assault has witnesses. I'm 5'8", 165 pounds. Bettman is 200 plus pounds. He's an artificially enhanced 200 plus pounds. A pathetic inability to control temperament is a side effect from artificial substances such as steroids and human growth hormone. Your subordinate Andrew Reale arrived. He took the official quote unquote report, end quote. Bettman and I went outside. Reale told me to wait in the sheriff's vehicle. Is it your policy to place the victim in the vehicle, allow the criminal an opportunity to explain his criminal actions? Reale demonstrated zero interest in my assault and continued to talk to Bettman. Bettman approached the side of the police vehicle. He said, quote, I want to press charges against you, end quote. Bettman used this language because he was coached by Reale. Reale coached his criminal guilty of assault. It is manipulation. Reale told me I would go before a judge. I responded, let's go. I was prepared to go to a judge to explain the facts, circumstances of this assault. After I responded, quote, let's go, end quote, Reale changed his mind. Why? You must ask him. Reale's appalling behavior continued, in quote, appearance ticket number 402507, end quote, for, quote, to answer charge of, end quote, Reale wrote, harassment second. This is ludicrous. This is a lie. How does Reale charge me to, quote, harassment second, end quote, when Bettman violently assaulted me? You must ask Reale that question immediately, such as how did you conclude Chris Chichester to be charged with harassment second? What did Chichester do or say that led you to charge him with harassment second? Did you inform Chichester he's charged with harassment second? Why did you fail to inform Chichester he's charged with harassment second? I went to the University of Rochester urgent care as I couldn't move my head from left to right. The nurse recommended I go to the hospital. I refused. Because I'll never give Bettman the satisfaction of knowing he sent me to the hospital. Your subordinate Reale is incapable of performing his responsibilities. He utterly lacks the impartiality, fairness, and honesty required to enforce the law. He fails to display the character, wear a badge, and carry a weapon. He is bankrupt. I expect you to do nothing about Deputy Andrew Reale. I expect you to empower this incompetent, pathetic excuse for an officer to violate the civil and constitutional rights of other innocent citizens. The result of this disgusting day is your creation. I appear before John P. Lorenzo Jr. I go to jail. Bettman appears before Judge James Millen Jr. He is released. This is why you're corrupt. I just told you here what happened to me. This is when I returned, I should say. This is not within 10 days. This is after this event happened. I think there was a period of 2 weeks, and then I got out of jail, and then I wrote you this. So I want to correct myself when I mistakenly state something. So this is after I got, it's about a month after this happened, or thereabouts. It's undated, but it's about a month. So this is what's really disturbing about this. Sheriff Todd Baxter, Todd Thurston, Michael Rather, Kathleen Milligan went today with the sheriff's office. I'm standing next to the vehicle. Bettman's about 20 feet from me. Reale wants us to go away. He doesn't want anything to do with this because Reale knows me because his parking lot. And what I just said is how he tries to make this go away. So Reality says to me I have to go before a judge. This is a lie. This is the fantasy land, the 1984, the head of Andrew Reality, who wants to ignore violent crime upon me because of this parking lot. He says to me, and he's practically hyperventilating, you have to go before a judge now, Chris. I'm thinking, does this psychopath know that court appearances are scheduled? And is he going to get a judge on the phone just to present me before a judge? And how am I going to have counsel to be before a judge? And shouldn't there be a prosecutor make an argument that I committed a crime to go before a judge? Do you understand that this is insanity? Sheriff Todd Baxter, by an employee who's trying to make this go away, and I'm not allowing him to do this to me. And then when I said to him, let's go, he decides to put the screws to me. I'm astonished. It is mind-blowing to me when he said to me, as I said here, I would have to go before a judge. This is in your office. What did you think when you received this, Todd Baxter? What you think is, it doesn't matter to you. When your fellow freaks obliterate human beings with concocted criminal charges, fiction, and lies. So, now, these are the criminal charges here that have arrived. Because this is stamped July 22nd. I'm not going to read each, but Richard Seaman violently attacking the Penfield Public Library this day. Notarized by Christopher Price. Laura Riley, my ex-girlfriend, taking everything I own to a storage locker. Notarized by Christopher Price at the Monroe Branch of Rochester Public Library. Neyraj Shah, Layla Kumar Shah, falsely reporting an incident. Not going to crime to Walter in the parking lot. And Michael Huan lying under oath. Sandra swung a hammer at him on my back porch in Penfield. All those charges there that I've read repeatedly will be dismissed in court. Not going to be any day. Not going to be any charges, not going to be court appearances, excuse me. Not going to be any criminal charges, not going to be jail time. If they appear in court, there's certainly going to be no jail time. So, now I wrote to you on July 16, 2023. You're all notarized here. That's what I wrote to you on July 16, unconstitutional. I call this unconstitutional because I believe I repeat myself. It's unconstitutional for policy members of the Green Penfield Town Court when attacked by $75,000 Richard J. Seaman, presented in front of her and driven to Livingston County Jail, Geneseo. YouTube unconstitutional. You can go to YouTube and watch me. I think I'm on here for 45 minutes talking to you about this day. This nightmare day that continues the obliteration of who I am as a human being. Your office will receive a criminal complaint from me in the next 7 days about 80-year-old Anthony Spano, Fairport, North, locking me out of residence in Penfield, New York, without a court order. Just a criminal complaint in here from Anthony Spano that you have. He will not be arrested because of his age. Your offices will receive a criminal complaint from me in the next 7 days about Neyraj Shah, Penfield, New York, false reporting criminal act as walked through the park lot 4,000 times. This is the criminal complaint you got right here about Neyraj Shah. He will not be arrested because you Kool-Aid drinkers can't identify a crime. Your offices will receive a criminal complaint from me in the next 7 days about $75,904 Richard J. Seaman violently assaulting me at the Penfield Public Library. Just a criminal complaint. You got it right here about Richard J. Seaman. Arrived in your office, registered mail return receipt. He will not be arrested or fired because he's a Monroe County Sheriff Office employee. That's exactly right. He will not be arrested or fired because he's a Monroe County Sheriff Office employee. Now, over and over and over, I'm telling you to comply with the law. So, I have the Freedom of Information Law, where I've told you repeatedly to disclose information to me. Now, when I say here on this July 16th, comply with the 3 attached PDF Freedom of Information Law documents dated July 16th. On that July 16th, the language is the same as this August 6th, which is documentation of the case of Christopher Childress, Penfield Town Court, for John Clemenza Jr. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? Documentation for the case of Christopher Johnson, Penfield Court for Paul C. Metzel. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? Documentation for the case of Christopher Johnson, New York State Supreme Court balance Renzi. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? State legislature in Albany, Senator Majority Andrew Stewart Cousins, Speaker Carl Easton needs to change this law, a so-called bench trial. Bench trial is not a trial. Would you agree with that? Perry Duckles, Mark Monahan, Michelle Crowley at the district attorney's office. Would you, Elizabeth Buckley, the director of the local courts, agree with the statement that a bench trial is not a trial because it's just one defendant's skull appearing in front of a corrupt judge, and that corrupt judge is going to sentence the defendant's skull to jail. Now, there are honest, ethical, decent, moral judges in New York that understand that the cops are psychopaths, and they're going to release citizens that are innocent. Elizabeth Buckley, do you appear in court, director of the local courts bureau? And do you talk in court? When you have to go into Penfield Town Court and appear before Paul C. Metzler and James Fielding Jr., what do you think about that room? I'm going to tell you what you should think, Elizabeth Buckley. You should think that this is a star chamber. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. And there's different ways to define a star chamber. Star chamber is a corrupt court, Elizabeth Buckley. And what do you think about your ethics as an attorney? You have to go before these two corrupt judges, if in fact you do, James Fielding Jr. and Paul C. Metzler, make an argument in court that a defendant committed a crime. So, now, I lived in a loft next to the transit center. When there was violence in Rochester, New York, especially around that transit center, and that area that's North Clinton Avenue, because I'm sure you know there's St. Paul and North Clinton. And I have been up to that Valero gas station where police have been called 300 plus times because of these freaks and psychopaths in Rochester, New York around the Valero gas station. And also in that area is where Calvin Vickers, who had just a recent court appearance, murdered 29-year veteran of the Rochester Police Department, Anthony Mazurkowitz, a cop killer. And I have been up there. He was murdered on Bauman Street. And I have been up on North Clinton Avenue around Big Mama Rose Grocery. You should know where that is. I believe you do. And at Valero gas station. And I have been in dark parts of Washington, D.C. and Albany, New York, because I lived in each city for 5 years. I have never seen the end of the world like it is on that North Clinton Avenue. The danger that's out there. You know what used to be out there that's not anymore? Who played out there? Do you know? Employees of the sheriff's office, district attorney's office? This is 40 plus years ago. The great Cal Ripken played out there at the stadium for the Rochester Red Wings. That was Silver Stadium, and it was raised. This is back when Kodaks and Xerox were Fortune 500 powerhouses. And why do you think they aren't now? So, this is the Freedom of Information Law. Over and over and over. I think there could be 50 times just in these documents here I'm telling you to disclose the names of my prosecutors, and you're refusing every single time. I'll try not to dwell on this. This is probably, I hate to use the word rage, and I hate to use the word hate, but there's no other way around it. You should be honest with yourself. This delivers me to a level of rage. In 2012, I went to Lollipop Farm Humane Society with my then girlfriend Laura Riley when we lived in Webster, and we adopted him. If you're a dog owner, you know what every dog owner knows. People love their dogs. This is Nehra Shah, my Kumar Shah. I'm walking my dog for the 4,000th time. The back window opens from this repulsive shack. A woman is screaming at me. I think it's Layla Kumar Shah. An hour later, the Monroe County Sheriff Office is there with Penfield Animal Control. And there's this vicious confrontation on my front door with two employees of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office with Animal Control demanding my dog. I said, you'll have to kill me to take my little guy from me. Do you understand, Todd Baxter? This is why people hate the police. And this specifically, precisely, is why I hate you. Fanatical cops, divorced from morality, come to the home of an innocent citizen and demand his dog. Your employees could easily just pick up the phone and call me. This is why they're freaks, and this is why you're a freak, Todd Baxter. I don't even know the name. One, I don't know the names of these freaks. And two, Todd Baxter, you don't give a damn about this. They could have just called me on the phone about this day. Psychopath cops coming to the home of an innocent citizen demanding his dog. So I was coming back today from the Brighton Memorial Library because I walked from the library to Monroe Avenue and then I walked to Park Avenue. So I'm walking down Park Avenue. I got my backpack on. And there's a woman coming toward me with her large dog. And this dog starts to run at me on the sidewalk. And this dog, she's got a leash that can extend about 20 feet. And this dog runs up to me. And it's right in front of me wagging his tail. And I'm petting this dog. And I've seen this type of dog before, but I'm not an expert on the breed of the dog. And this dog was so happy and funny. And so I said to her, what kind of dog is this? And she said to me, this is a golden doodle. And I didn't know what a golden doodle looked like because I thought a golden doodle was a little dog, like my little guy. And her and I talked for about 5 minutes. And I said, you sit out here on Park Avenue and allow your dogs? She says, all the time. And there are citizens out there with their dogs up and down Park Avenue, walking dogs, sitting outside, petting dogs. See how much citizens love their dogs. When I was at Lollipop, they brought him out for me. I was there with Laura, my girlfriend. I said to the Lollipop boy, what's his name? And she said his name is Alex. And I laughed because when I was United States Senate staff in the Russell Senate Office Building, I worked for Senator P. Maine. My attorney colleague Alex Heck sat behind me. And Alex was a Georgetown University Law School graduate. And Alex was a piece of work. And we would talk about all sorts of different things, Alex and I. I'm thinking about him too. Because like so many individuals that are political staffers, they're sports fans, in particular boxing fans. So this is why I'm holding this up and telling you this. I've been a boxing fan since I was in elementary school. Since Sugar Ray Leonard defeated Andres Aldama at the 1976 Montreal Olympics to win the 140-pound junior welterweight title. And he also defeated Wilfred Benitez to become the WBC welterweight champion. And this is his epic fight with Marvin Hagler. I could talk for 3 hours just about Sugar Ray Leonard. How much I love him in the ring and as an athlete. Well, another one of my favorite fighters is Ray Mancini, also called Boom Boom. So I couldn't call my dog Sugar Ray. So I named him Boom Boom after Ray Mancini, former WBA lightweight champion who knocked out Arturo Freeze in an epic 2-round performance. And he almost went distance with the great Alexis Arguello of Nicaragua, stopped in the 14th round. Ray Mancini, called Boom Boom, Heart of Champion. My little guy, Heart of Champion. And there you are, you revolting, sick fucking hack, Todd Baxter, with your 2 revolting, sick fucking freaks demanding my dog. And this is why people hate the police. So I have to go to the Goodwill to buy clothes because Antonio Spano and a Fairport, New York, this 80-year-old man speaks in broken English, locked me out of my residence. Every single one of these is clothes I bought for $2 or $3 or whatever it was. I'm locked out of my residence without clothes. All my clothes are gone. Then I have to tell my mother and father what happens to me. I have to tell my mother and father about Andrew Reale, a freak who charges me with harassment. Well, I'm not harassing anyone because I'm attacked and there's no victim. I have to tell my mother and father about Shannon Meyer, a freak who tells 5 other freaks to come to where I live to arrest me for telling a man on his track that nobody owns the land next to my residence. I have to tell my mother and father about $73,000 perjurer Michael Houlihan and $85,000 freak Don Benedetto hiding on private property in my residence, and Houlihan perjured himself under oath, Santa swung a hammer at him. So when I talk to my mother in particular, who uses my full name, I'm on the phone, and when my mother's using my full name, which she knows I don't go by, my mother and father have always called me Chris. And since my mother and father have always called me Chris, that's what I go by. There's only a few individuals that will occasionally, like my mother and father, occasionally call me by my full name to emphasize a point. Because when I'm 10 years old and my mother or father wants to let me know that I'm screwing up in some way, the full name comes out. And I'm on the phone with my mother, who will rarely use my full name. I'm laying on my couch. I'm staring at the ceiling. My mother's using my full name over and over and over as I'm telling her about freak Shannon Meyer, as I'm telling her about freak Andrew Alley, as I'm telling her about freak Michael Luhan, as I'm telling her about freak Don Benedetto. And when my mother knows, when I'm past 50, when I'm telling her all this, is that I've never been arrested. All this is totally irrelevant to you, the district attorney's office, the sheriff's office, because you hate the human condition and you're obsessed with power and you want to have a control over a life and the facts and circumstances of a citizen and any criminal acts or actions, and particularly innocence, is totally irrelevant to you at the district attorney's office, the sheriff's office. So, for your information, law on this August 3rd, I'm glad you're not answering Michelle Crowley. Information about the grand jury convened by District Attorney Sandra, Doorley, to target Christopher Todd tested as 1. The day, month, and year the grand jury is convened. 2. The signed District Attorney's Office employee to address the grand jury. 3. The witness that testified to the grand jury, a photo of the grand jurors, a transcript of the grand jury. I believe that when I send this, I've written this document at least 10 times. And when I send this to the Appellate Division of State Supreme Court, when I pursue you to disbarment Michelle Crowley as director of the grand jury, convening this grand jury when I don't know is convened. Convening this grand jury when Michael Luhan lies under oath, perjures himself. Convening this grand jury where I have no idea how the grand jurors were selected. Convening this grand jury where I have no idea what the vote is. If it's 24 grand jurors, is it 13 to 11 that I'm indicted? Is it a unanimous vote? And you're refusing over and over to answer these questions. This is my life, and it does not matter to you that my whole life, for 58 years on planet Earth, employees of the Sheriff's Office and District Attorney's Office, is innocence. My name is Christopher Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York.